So good morning and welcome to Moving Communities. Today we have the pleasure of being joined by two experts in their field who are going to explain how their expertise is being used within Moving Communities platform, particularly around the social value stuff. So I'm going to start by introducing our first guest. Larissa, could you just tell us who you are and what you do, please?
Yeah, sure. My name is Dr. Larissa Davies. I'm an associate professor at Sheffield Hallam University. And my research specialism, if you like, is researching the economic and social impact of sport and physical activity.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, could you do a quick intro, please?
Sure, Dave. Hi, my name is Utku Toprakseven. I'm a partner at 4Global, and as part of the Moving Communities team, I'm leading the collection, aggregation, and processing of the data that's coming from the sector into the Moving Communities platform.
Excellent, thank you. And the whole point of this quick 10 minutes that we're going to spend today is to give people a much greater understanding of what social value is, how it's calculated, and most importantly, how people can use what we're going to produce through the platform to the advantage of the communities they work with and for. So, Larissa, can I start with you? What is social value?
Okay, so that's a question we often get asked, actually, and to break it down into simple terms, social value in the context of sport and physical activity is essentially the term we use to describe the non-financial, non-monetary impacts of activity on society. So when we measure social value, we measure the wider benefits of sport and physical activity, such as improved health, enhanced subjective well-being or life satisfaction, and improved networks and community bonds and ties. So social value essentially quantifies those outcomes associated with participation that are difficult to measure and difficult to put a direct monetary value on.
Okay, so you've mentioned there it's difficult to measure. So how is it calculated? Because I've seen numbers. I've seen people say for every pound spent on physical activity, we generate £14 in social value. So how do you calculate it?
Okay, so what we've done is we've developed something called a social value calculator, which is a measurement tool for social value, which we've developed, which researchers at Sheffield Hallam University developed in partnership with 4Global and Experian. And we originally developed the measurement tool back in 2015 and have revised and updated that in 2021 with recent evidence and modelling that we've done at the national level. So what the social value calculator does is it uses a national social return on investment model for sport and physical activity in England, which was developed and commissioned by Sport England to essentially establish a value per participant for a subset of those outcomes that the national model measures. And what we do is we work out a value for a participant and then we apply that value to individuals who participate at facilities. So what we do within the social value calculator is we measure 15 outcomes in total, which are grouped under 4 categories. And those 4 categories are mental and physical and mental health, mental well-being, individual development, and social and community development. So we establish values for the 15 outcomes in those 4 groups, and then we calculate on a facility basis the contribution in value or in those non-financial outcomes really to have a value for the facility.
Okay. And okay, what was 4Global's involvement in supporting that model when it was created?
So since 2015, as Larissa mentioned, we've been working together with Sheffield Hallam and Experian to actually take an academic model, a national model, and to apply it to the context of our sector and to make it something that can be used as a measurement tool to evidence the impact of services that are delivered by local authorities, operators, and also sports funding and governing bodies in the UK. So the way we have been working with Sheffield Hallam is basically when the initial model has been developed and those national values are generated, we have linked that research to our data hub, which is the largest sector repository of participation data from over 15 million individuals and 2,500 facilities. And we have a repository of over 1 billion visits to leisure centers, community programs, and other facilities that provide sporting activities. So through the development of the social value calculator and linking it to the data hub, we were able to actually get real-time data from the sector into the social value calculator, enhance that data set with the socioeconomic profiles generated by Experian, and then apply the Sheffield Hallam's social value model on top of that to be able to calculate values for social value in those different indicators for individual leisure centers, for operators, for local authorities. And that way they could actually evidence the impact they are generating. This can be at the facility level over a time period, or at a specific intervention level over like that's organized within a specific facility over time. But basically that gave us a tool for both planning and evidencing the impact purposes.
Okay. So Larissa, you mentioned 4 key areas. One of those was around mental well-being. How do you measure, what's the impact then? So if somebody has a challenge around their mental health and there's a physical activity intervention created, how do you measure the impact then? Sorry, Larissa, you're on mute.
Apologies. So what we've done is, with all the outcomes actually, not just for mental well-being, is that we've looked at academic evidence that links participation with outcomes. So in the area of mental well-being, there is a substantial evidence base of good quality that shows that people who participate in sport and physical activity have improved life satisfaction and happiness. So we've taken that evidence and we've taken analysis that has been done by economists and academics to generate a value that represents improved life satisfaction or happiness that participants gain from their participation. And it's quite a technical economic estimation, but essentially that's what the value represents.
Okay, so in my simple head, would it be, if somebody was on antidepressants, there's a cost to that, there's a cost to going to the doctors, there's a cost for the medication. We assist them to be more confident, to feel better about themselves, etc., through physical activity. Is it like the saving? So we're now not paying for the doctor's appointments and for the medication?
There are actually, within the tool, there are actually 2 measures that relate to what you've just discussed there. So actually within the physical and mental health outcomes, we value, for example, reduced risk of clinical depression. So when we measure that outcome, yes, we measure the healthcare cost savings and other savings associated with a fewer number of participants, hopefully not developing clinical depression. But we also value the benefits to the individual of improved life satisfaction. So what we do when we, the estimation of that outcome is slightly more complicated, but what we essentially do is we consider the hypothetical income that someone would need to receive to get an equal uplift in their life satisfaction to participation in activity. So there's a kind of a theory behind why we use that method for valuation, but essentially it's, what does that value mean to the individual in a monetary sense? Right.
Okay, that's really interesting. So the fact that this is part of our key performance indicators on the Moving Communities platform has really helped us, actually, because it's creating engagements, people are interested, but it's more about what we can do with it. So can you share how the social value calculator works within the key performance indicators of Moving Communities, and also what you hope people will use this data and this insight for?
Yeah, so our objective with Moving Communities is really to provide local authorities, operators with a tool that helps them to actually understand the full impact of their operations. So it's not just looking at financial KPIs and telling whether they make a profit or loss from their services. Or it is, again, not just looking at how many people use their facilities. Of course, these are important KPIs, but an important part of this picture as a sector is how much value we are generating in people's life beyond what they do, like within that physical activity space, because how it impacts our health, how it impacts our well-being, as the things Larissa was referring to. So hopefully moving communities will play an important role across the whole country, used by 300 plus local authorities, 100 plus operators, better understand this concept and be able to talk about this, because you made a good point there. There has been a few numbers quoted in the last 5 years by different stakeholders, either at the national level or local authority level, about how much social value they are generating. But do we really understand what that means? Do we really understand how this value is generated, whether through health savings or this additional benefits to our life? So our aim is, with the Moving Communities tool, to bring these numbers to life at the high level to start with, because it will give them an overview of this is the total social value you generate. This is how it breaks down into the main indicators. And on an individual basis, this is how much social value you generate per person. But obviously, there is much more in the background of this. So it is important for local authorities, operators to read the documentation, share best practice, share some good case studies together with our Moving Communities team to see how this data can be used to really share some good benefits with other sectors or within our individual sector.
Brilliant, thank you.
I was just add to that the really exciting thing about this is, historically, the sector, and by that I mean the sport and leisure sector, has focused on financial performance indicators, and that's not just at the facility level, but that is perhaps how we've evaluated sport and physical activity generally in a historical way. But what we've seen from our research is actually it's social value that generates actually considerably more value, if we look at value holistically, than pure economic, gross value added or employment. So I think for the sector as a whole, being able to evidence and articulate the value it generates is very, very important when making the case to investors, to stakeholders, to government, and so on.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Larissa, thank you so much for that. Really useful insight. Utku, as always, thank you for the insight around the movement communities and how we're going to glue this together. And I really hope that people pick this up and run with it. And I guess, Larissa, they can find you at Sheffield Hallam University. Is there a particular location for web pages or something?
They certainly can. They can find me at Sheffield Hallam University at the sport. I'm in the Sport and Physical Activity Research Centre, my email's online.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you so much both for your time. Really useful conversation. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Dave.